I called my grandmother that night, Doctor. First time in months. I had been avoiding her because I did not know how to say any of this over the phone to a church-going woman in Atlanta, but after what you told me, I had a specific question, and she was the only person alive who could answer it. I asked her the question I had never in my life asked. I asked her where my father really came from. And my grandmother, who has never in her life been quiet, went quiet. That silence told me more than any answer could have. When she finally spoke, she said that some doors my mother had asked her to keep shut. I told her that someone had opened one of those doors and put a whole life inside my body, and that I needed to know. And slowly, in pieces, she told me. She told me my father was not only the man my mother had described to the neighbors, that he had come from money. She called it far-away money. From a family that had not wanted a Black American daughter-in-law and had made that very clear. She did not know their name or would not say it. But she told me that they had come looking, once, when I was a baby, and that my mother had sent them away and told them never to return, and that she had raised me quietly and let the world believe a simpler story about where I came from. I sat on that motel bed and I finally understood. I was not chosen at random. I was never a random womb. I was chosen because of who my father was. Because somewhere in my blood is a lineage that a powerful family, a family from faraway money, had reason to want to claim. And the CO family, or someone connected to them, knew it before I did. They knew what my grandmother had spent 27 years hiding. They knew my bloodline was valuable to someone, and they arranged, through Hannah's desperation and a clinic that asks no questions, to grow a child from it inside a woman who would never think to ask why. My grandmother told me more, once she started, as though the first admission had cracked a dam she had held for a quarter of a century. She told me my mother, Angela, had studied abroad as a young woman, that this was where I got my restlessness, she said, from a mother who also crossed an ocean to become something. She told me my mother had fallen in love there with a man whose family was, in her words, the kind of people who own things you and I only rent. She would not tell me the country, and I am not certain she truly knew the full name of the family. Only that they were foreign and rich, and that they had come to Atlanta once, in a black car, when I was still small enough to be carried, and offered my mother money to hand me over and disappear. My mother had refused. She had stood on that same porch where I later cried over my scholarship letter and told those people to leave and never come back, and she had raised me under a simpler story to keep me from ever being findable. And then she had died young, taking most of the details with her, leaving my grandmother to guard a secret whose full shape even she did not know. Do you see what that means, Minjun? My mother spent her life hiding me from exactly the kind of people who eventually found me anyway. Not through the front door in a black car, but through a fertility clinic in Gangnam and a desperate friend who thought she was running her own small scheme. Whatever family my father came from did not give up when my mother sent them away. They waited. They watched, perhaps for decades. And when the opportunity came to obtain a child of their bloodline without ever having to negotiate with the stubborn American women who guarded it, they took it. I do not yet know how the CO family connects to my father's family, whether they are partners, or whether the COs were simply the instrument, or whether the whole thing runs through that clinic and the people who fund it. But I know now that my pregnancy is not the beginning of the story. It is the middle. The beginning was a love affair my mother had before I was born, and a refusal she made on a porch in Atlanta, and a family patient and powerful enough to wait 27 years to overrule her. So that is where I am, doctor. Let me lay it out plainly, the way you laid out the biology for me, because when a thing is this tangled, the only comfort is to name each thread, even if you cannot yet unknot them. I am 12 weeks pregnant with a child that is genetically mine. That much you have proven, and it is the one solid ground I stand on. No contract Hannah signed, no arrangement the Seo family made, changes the fact that this is my child. Mine legally and mine biologically, and the mother of this baby is not a donor. and not a carrier, and not an empty vase. She is me. What was done to me at that clinic was a crime. I was sedated and subjected to a procedure without my consent or knowledge, and you have told me the timeline can be proven from the records, that the gaps and the mislabeling are themselves evidence. I am not a hysterical woman who forgot a night. I am the victim of something that has a name in the law, even if the people who did it have enough money to make the law look away. The father is not who I was told, and the reason the child is mine is not an accident. The Seo family lied to Hana about the egg because they wanted my specific bloodline, and my specific bloodline traces to a father my own mother hid from me, from a wealthy foreign family that once came looking for me and was sent away, which means the real story is older than Hana. It began before I was born. Hana is not the mastermind. Hana is another woman who was used, who thought she was choosing a carrier when she was actually being handed a pre-selected one, whose desperation made her the perfect instrument for a plan she did not design. She is as much a victim as a villain, and I hate that that is true, because it would be so much easier if she were only a villain. And there is a fourth thing, and it is not medical, so forgive me for saying it in a doctor's office. The fourth thing is that I am not alone in this city anymore. 3 months ago, I came into this office as a frightened woman armed with a rehearsed lie, and you were kind to that lying woman every single Thursday, the last slot of the day, the one you started giving me so I would not have to sit in the waiting room and be afraid. And then you caught the lie so gently that it felt less like being exposed and more like being found. Somewhere in those 3 months, something happened that I did not plan and did not expect, and do not fully know what to do with. You have become the first safe harbor of my adult life. And I know that is a strange and inconvenient thing to say to the man overseeing my pregnancy, and I know 100 reasons it is complicated, and I am saying it anyway, because you told me a few minutes ago that I should say true things wherever they happen to be true, and this office has held the very worst of my secrets, so it may as well hold one good one. I have been afraid of this feeling, if I am honest. I have been more afraid of you than of the Seo family, in a way, and I have finally worked out why. The last person who was calm and kind and gave me everything for free was Hana, and she gutted me. So every time you do something gentle, save me the safe slot, call me by my name instead of patient, remember the church my grandmother goes to. Some scarred part of me flinches and waits for the price. I keep hearing myself sound like her. I keep saying my head knows one thing and my heart is a slower student, which is a thing Hana used to say, and it terrifies me to have her phrases in my mouth. My friend Rachel back in Atlanta, the one person from home who still has my real number, she told me on the phone that not everyone who is kind is hunting me. And I told her I knew that in my head. And she said to let you prove you are different, slowly, to let you earn it. And the truth, doctor, the true thing I will say in this true thing office is that you are earning it. You are earning it in the smallest and most consistent ways, and that is exactly what terrifies me, because Hana's kindness was loud and grand and this is quiet and steady, and I am starting to understand that quiet and steady is the kind that is real. You told me your name off the record, Min Jun, and said that when I am not your patient in that exact clinical minute, I could use it. Min Jun. It suits you. Steady. In a story with this much chaos, I have started to think steady is worth everything. I know we still do not have the whole thing. We do not know who my father's family is, only that they exist and that they wanted me. We do not know exactly what the Seo family intends to do when this child is born, or how the two families connect, or whether they are the same thread pulling from two ends. We do not know what Hana will do now that she is beginning to realize she was used too, because the last time she found me, waiting outside this very building on a Thursday, I saw something new in her face when I told her the egg was mine. She did not know. They had promised her a donor and she believed them, and watching her realize that her husband's family had lied to her, had used her exactly as she had used me, I saw her stop being the puppeteer in her own mind and start being afraid. A frightened Hana who has lost control of the scheme she thought was hers is a different and more unpredictable danger than the Hana who ran it. She might turn on the family. She might turn on me. She might do the one decent thing left to her, or the one desperate thing. I do not know. She never learned the difference between love and need, and people like that are impossible to predict when they are cornered. I have not told you the whole of the day Hana found me outside this building, and I think I need to, because it is the closest I have come to seeing how this ends. It was a Thursday, my Thursday, the safe slot, and she was standing on the sidewalk when I came out, and for one terrible second the 2 years of love and the months of grief collided in my chest so hard I could not breathe. She looked well and she looked ruined at the same time, the way only Hana could. She said she only wanted to talk, 5 minutes, for everything we had been to each other, and I told her that what we had been was a lie she built, and she said that was not fair, that she had loved me and still loved me, that loving me and needing me were never separate things for her, which is the truest and most damning thing she has ever said, because it is precisely that inability to tell love apart from need that let her do what she did and call it sisterhood. Then I told her the thing she did not know. I told her the egg was mine. I watched her face, Minjun, and I promise you she did not know. Everything in her expression came apart. They had promised her a clean donor, she said. They had promised her. And I saw the exact moment she understood that her husband's family had lied to her, the same way she had lied to me, that she had been played inside the very scheme she thought she was running, that the woman who prided herself on always being 3 steps ahead had been a puppet with someone else's hand inside her the entire time. She started saying she did not know what they had really done in that room, that she had been in the next room, sedated by her own certainty that she was in control. And I said to her, "Now you know how it feels, to wake up and not know what was done to your own life." I did not say it to be cruel. I said it because it was, for the first time, simply true of both of us. She left shaking, and I have thought every day since about what a frightened Hana might do, because a Hana who believes she is in control is dangerous in a manageable, predictable way, and a Hana who has just learned she was used is dangerous in a way I cannot predict at all. She might go to war with the Seo family for humiliating her. She might come to me for forgiveness she has not earned. She might do something desperate to reclaim a scheme that was never really hers. I do not know. I only know that the last domino I was counting on, Hana as the mastermind, turned out to be just another domino, and behind her is a hand I still cannot see. But here is what has changed, and it is the reason I could finally sit in this chair and tell you the whole thing from the beginning without falling apart. For the first time since I woke up on that clinic table with hours missing from my life, I am not afraid to find out the rest. Not because the danger is smaller, because I am not finding out alone. My grandmother finally opened the door she kept shut for 27 years. A doctor called me by a name that is not patient. My own body remembered that this child was mine before my mind would let me believe it. The body knows before the mind agrees, and my body has been quietly on my side this whole time, carrying my own child through all the lies, waiting for the rest of me to catch up. So no, I did not come in here today only to explain how I got pregnant, though that is what I thought I was doing when I sat down. I came in to take something back. Hana let me believe I was an empty vessel so I would let go more easily. The Seo family let me believe I was a random carrier so I would never ask why. Even my own mother, out of love, let me believe I came from a simpler place than I did. And one by one, in this office, on that phone call, in my own moving body, those lies have come apart. This baby is mine. This bloodline is mine. This story, the whole impossible, unbelievable, 12-week nightmare of it, is mine. And I am done letting other people hold the pen. That is everything, Minjun. That is the whole of it, from the porch steps in Atlanta to this chair. You said you had time. You have no idea what it did to me to be believed. So tell me now, Honestly, the way that Strangers Review promised you would be honest. Where do we go from here? Because whatever comes from that family, from either family, I have decided it comes to a woman who knows exactly who she is now, and it does not come to her alone.